proud Gen Z. Hi.
So there's a challenge with these Gen Z people. They think they are the first people to ever live on Earth.
Hello and welcome to another exciting time with me here today on your favorite show, Gist HQ. On this show, we bring you amazing gist from across Africa and a lot more. Fasten your seatbelt, it is going to be an exciting ride. Welcome to a fascinating exploration of generational wave that is shaping our workplace and society. In a world driven by innovation and rapid change, Gen Z has emerged as a powerful force, armed with digital fluency that has the potential to reshape industries and social norms. Come with me today as we discuss about how this generation fits into the workplace and society. To talk about that today, I have two wonderful guests with me. I have Ogenefego Ofili here. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And I have Ebruba Loki.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Thank you. Ebruba, so what do you think are the remarkable strengths that your generation brings to the workplace and society at large?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think some of the remarkable strength of Gen Z. Okay, let me also point out I'm also a proud Gen Z. Hi. Okay, so some of the remarkable strength of the Gen Z, we have the technological proficiency. We notice that most of the Gen Z we're fully immersed in technology tools, technology platforms. Like from 1999 down to 2002, that's when we have a lot of that's when we started having a lot of technological inputs in our society and our everyday life in our workplace. And this Gen Z, we are fully born and fully immersed in this technological area, which has made them more able to adapt to these technological inputs and platforms very easily. And because of this, they've become a great asset to most technological industries, the tech industries. They always want to look out for Gen Zs and retain them because of their ability to adapt to technological input and also bring up innovations. Also, we also have adaptability and creativity. This Gen Z, they have been through a lot of global changes. Yeah, that is, we have the global crisis, we've had global economic downpour, we've had a lot of global changes which has really affected them. And during these changes, we find out that most of these changes, they are able to easily adapt to all of these global situations, which has made them very, very strong which has made them very, very able to easily adapt to whatever situation they find themselves in because of what they have been through already, right? So we also have social consciousness. Most of the Gen Z, they're characterized by a very strong sense of social consciousness. They always have the mindset of creating positive impact in whatever situation, whatever environment they find themselves. They always stand for social justice. And yeah, that's what we always, if we check most of the trends today, check most of the happenings today, you see most of Gen Z advocating for equality, you see them advocating for social justice. This is just one of the characteristics of Gen Z, and it has also become a strength for them. And any society or any workplace that tends to prioritize social equality and social positiveness would likely want to retain the Gen Zs.
Wow.
Okay, I think I'll just stop there
Yeah,
for now.
that's wonderful. Gen Z, wow, advocating for social justice. That's wonderful. So, Dr. Fego, do you agree with what he has said?
Okay, so what most of what he has said as the describing Gen Z and their strengths, in my opinion, are not specifically only for Gen Z, describing them, except maybe the part of technology, where you say they were born when technology was already highly infused and people were already using. So they were born from, like, there was already a mobile phone, unlike when I was born, when there was no mobile phone, right? So, but it doesn't still mean that my generation is not very good with technology and understanding technology. In fact, we have a better advantage because we understand what the minuses were, what the disadvantages were, what the stresses we went through were without technology, and we surmounted that, right? So when we see technology, we're seeing technology as a tool to improve what we're already doing without technology. So, but I understand the part where it describes them, but I don't think it's an advantage that is standalone for them. Because it's not just for you to be born into when technology is everywhere and at high level now. It's how you use that technology to advance your workspace and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Sorry, can I say
Yeah.
something? Can I counter that? Okay, so I didn't. I'm not saying other generations have no idea about technology. They do, but when you compare other generations, Gen A, Gen Y, and the rest, when you compare them to the Gen Zs always stand out when it comes to being infused to technological
Like
tools.
what?
Put
Yeah.
a Gen Z today with a Gen Y or Gen X or whichever generation comes before them,
it's
and then give them.
millennials. Millennials come before the Gen Z.
Okay.
So I'm in the millennial group. So go
Okay,
ahead.
so if you put the millennial alongside with the Gen Z and give them technological device to operate, technological device that they have never seen in their life, and give them to operate, you find out that most times when you do this, when you match them together, the Gen Zs always come out faster in operating and understanding how this device works. So it just gives us an edge.
So that's what I said.
over-
That's what I said. So you guys, because you were born into technology,
Yeah, you know how
you
to.
easily adapt.
Exactly. That is
But
our
I'm
strength.
saying it is not a strength if you are not able to use it to solve problems. That you're just able to adapt and learn a new device is not enough advantage for me, as because we're talking about workplace, right?
Yes.
It's not enough advantage for me as somebody in the workplace than somebody who, oh, I'm struggling to understand it, but they tell me that this mobile phone helps you make calls faster than writing a letter, right? I knew how long it took to write a letter and send it to the post office, or before I saw email. So a letter that would have taken 1 week, 2 weeks, it means I can send an email and it goes immediately. I send it. Come on, I'm going to send as much emails as I have to. So I used it to solve a problem and do all my work fast. But the Gen Z say, I can send an email now. I don't have to go 2 weeks. I will send it tomorrow. Do you get?
Yeah.
Because tomorrow we still come. But me, I'm thinking mine before. It would have taken me 2 weeks for somebody to get that letter. The Gen Z is like, I beg, we'll send that tomorrow. So that's that's what I'm saying. That you are able to, do you understand, learn the technology advance.
So are you saying that this attitude of sending it tomorrow is it a minus? Because why are you highlighting it really?
Okay, so I highlighted that because I don't think he understood where I was coming from when I said it wasn't an advantage. Because in the workplace, it's about using those tools that you're so used to advance the workplace. But if you're now going to use it to be slow in delivering, it's not an advantage. Okay, that was I'm bringing up. So it's a disadvantage. I don't know. Your question is something about not doing it.
Yes.
It's a disadvantage because in the workplace we have KPIs, we have what do you call it, milestones, right? And if we're supposed to do something today and tomorrow, blah blah blah, and we don't do it, we're going to take longer to fulfill on that promise. So that's why I said, if you're not now delivering when you're supposed to deliver, because you believe you have technology can make it faster, then it's a disadvantage for me.
Okay, so talking about the workplace and all this now, how is this generation redefining workplace culture and pushing against boundaries? Because online you see how the Gen Z do not even want to go to the office until it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
They're telling you options of working from home, and then most of the times employers online complain about them not giving it their all. So I think someone online was saying that Gen Z, they're more passionate about passion than actually the job. How do you think they are redefining the workplace culture generally?
Okay. So I'll answer it in 2 ways. Firstly, I don't think they are redefining the workplace culture. I just think technology is redefining the workplace culture. Where we now know that there are some things I do not have to come to work, physical office to do. In fact, COVID era taught everybody a lesson. That there are some meetings we can actually do on Zoom. We don't have to be physically in one room. Do you get? So for me, that's my first answer. Technology changed a lot of things, and organizations should try and adapt to technology, and make sure that, in fact, it even saves your organization a lot of resources when everybody doesn't have to come to work, right? And they work from home. Secondly, the second way I'm going to answer it is, I listened to an expert, I think HR or human psychology expert, who said something about, it defined the different generations, right? The baby boomers, those are our parents. Their generation was about working hard to get out of poverty and make sure they paid all their bills. My generation, the millennials, their own motivation for work is to make sure they don't go back to the poverty where their parents started from, right? So they want to maintain that standard and hopefully improve their standard of living. And he said, for Gen Z, that is not the goal, motivation for work. Motivation for work is passion and work-life balance. It's about being able to still enjoy everything about life and still have all the resources our parents were working their ass off for. Okay? So just from the mindset of the Gen Z, you already know that this person doesn't see work the way his or her parents saw it, or the generation before him saw it.
Yeah.
He can do without work, provided he or she has shelter, has food. So they just need to do a little to make ends meet, and they are fine. But my generation wants to drive, because we grew up in one kind of poverty, right?
Yeah.
We want to drive the best cars. It has to be physical. You need to know that we have left poverty, and we don't want to hear that our children are poor. So if you look at it in those two, so it can be their mindset as Gen Z that they are not working because they need to earn money or earn a living. They're working because they love what they're doing and they're passionate about it. While technology has changed the workplace, not necessarily Gen Z changing the workplace.
Okay, so what do you think?
I think I want to counter that part where she says Gen Zs are not the one redefining, the workplace.
Give it.
Okay, because let me I'm just going to cite examples here. If you go to a government office, if you're a civil servant, if you go to a government, you find that most of the people that work there are of the older generation. You find them from 40 or upward and the rest. And when you go into their office, you see a lot of files there. You hardly see any technological tool or platform in their office. But when you move out and come down to a tech industry or any other industries where they have a lot of Gen Zs, you see a lot of technological tools there. We are the one pushing for a change in technology. We are the one redefining and pushing that technology. So I disagree with that. We push that.
Okay, so if you say that, the only example you're able to give me now is a government institution. And let me shock you. There are people who are 20 years old who work for the government. Okay?
Yeah,
So what I want to bring out is that it is not a Gen Z thing when it comes to ministry. It is the government that has refused to digitize things. Okay? It is a government institution that has refused to digitize.
I don't think.
Right? But it is wrong for you to say they are 40 and above there. No, they are not. There are people who in their 20s and whatever. You can tell me the directors and people who make decisions are older.
Majority of them are of the older age.
Yes. So it's the same. So it's the same government who has refused to. So if you go to at least I've experience working in a ministry. So the guys who are using the laptop, in fact, if the director doesn't know how to use the laptop or type an email or whatever, he goes to the younger officer to do it. So the younger guys there are using the computer. They're digitizing whatever they're doing, right? And I believe that as they grow in their level in the ministry, if they have the resources, they will digitize. Sometimes we just make generalized statements without having real proof. Because no, the truth of the matter is, if you go to those ministries you are talking about, they actually have computers. They have, even the old woman typist is typing. So the files you're seeing is either somebody wants to make sure that everything is hard copy. So it's a government, it's an institution, nothing, not a Gen Z or generation, whatever problem.
I still don't think it's the government alone. I feel like the older generation have how to play.
Exactly. They have a way they do things, and most of them will just want to stick.
They just want to stick to this old thing they've known. If
and
you give them
they see the other
tools now,
generations
they'll
as
say, okay,
lazy.
I'm used to I'm used to this older method of doing things. Let me just stick to this technology thing. Oh, I don't get straight.
And they
Let me
want to
leave it.
force.
Okay, so now
It's
what
not
you
just
guys need to
government.
understand now. Number one, I still agree. If the government has a policy today, for instance, FIRS, you were in this office when we used to print hard copy after paying, or it was shown, we pay in the bank, hard copy, and we're going to submit it in Yaba. Right? But from last year, what FIRS does now, it have a website. So all we need to do, once you've paid, in fact, you click, it takes you to the payment platform, you pay with your card, and you see a receipt from FIRS. I don't have any business going to their office. That is a government institution, still having old people and whatever, but they've decided as an institution that we must follow technology. Why? Because when they were doing hard copy, people were stealing. See, all these hard copy things, that's a lot. The reason why most governments will not turn to digital is because you can trace
Wow.
things. So it's not, I'm trying to make a point that it's not a Gen Z thing. It is institutions refusing to embrace technology.
Period. Okay, so let's go on a break, and then when we come back, we are still going to be talking about Gen Z. Welcome back. So we are still talking about the uniqueness of the Generation Z. So Ebruba, what are the unique challenges that the Generation Z faces in adapting to traditional workplace structure and then tradition in general in the society?
Okay. I think one of the major challenges that they face is, embracing diversity and pushing for inclusivity. They always want to be involved in every activity that takes place in the workplace or the environment. The workplace, be it traditional workplace or the current modern workplace we have today. And whenever this environment and traditional workplace don't prioritize, inclusivity of this Gen Z, it becomes a challenge for them. Okay. Also, we also have they value continuous learning and skill development. In whatever society they find themselves, Gen Zs always want to improve themselves to be able to meet up with the current state of the environment. And whenever this environment does not give them room for improvement, they don't give them room for skillful learning. Mostly the traditional workplace and environment, they doesn't resonate with the Gen Zs, and they want to leave there and go to somewhere else that does these things for them. And also they always embrace social consciousness, and they always seek purpose-driven work. Like I mentioned in the first instance, they always want to be they always want their values to be seen. If they're in a place where they don't value their contributions, they don't value the ideas they make, they don't give them room to express themselves, they become withdrawn from that society or that traditional workplace. I think that's
So in an event where they're making suggestions here, they're giving ideas, but the ideas are just off totally. Is it that you don't what will now make them to withdraw? Is it me not taking their ideas or what?
exactly when you don't even consider their idea. Maybe some of the ideas may be totally off and all, but I think you should at least let them talk. Then, how do I explain it? Explain this. I think it's better when you communicate with them more and just give them a chance to really express. Probably the way they are explaining themselves might not be what they have in mind. They just don't know how to express themselves properly. But I think whoever is listening to them, whoever they're talking to, should give them a chance to really express themselves, and you'll be surprised that they do these things well. But when you don't give them that chance to express themselves, because you feel like what they just said is total rubbish, you just shut them up. They feel bad. So it's a challenge for them.
Dr. Fego.
I actually kind of agree with most of the things you said. Some of them, like I say again, some of them are general human being issues, not necessarily Gen Z, right? Even me as a millennial, if I'm working somewhere and my ideas are not being taken, I will withdraw. So there's a challenge with these Gen Z people. They think they are the first people to ever live on Earth. So you see him describing a challenge, thinking it's a Gen Z challenge, but it's not. It's a human challenge. And the problem we have, or the challenge I'm beginning to notice with this Generation Z guys, is there's this kind of, what do you call it now? what they call, there's one show we did that had the topic, entitlement. So now you have an idea, you have thrown on the table, and your supervisor is saying this idea is not good. It's not making sense. You see, the difference is my millennial generation will say it's not making sense. Okay, let me go back to the drawing board and make it make sense. So the Gen Z is saying, duh.
Okay.
So wait, I'm not done. So millennials and older generations, remember, their motivation for work is to improve their lives and their standard of living. The motivation for work for a Gen Z is not that. Most of them are already, their parents have lifted them a little, so they are not from ground level. What they should be doing really is to be like taking it to the skies. But because the motivation for work is not trying to self-actualization or living poverty or whatever, the motivation is passion, enjoying what I do. By the time, based on what I enjoy, and I'm giving you ideas and you're not working with my ideas, for crying out loud, I'll look for the next place. Or I'll just withdraw and be collecting your money. Do you understand? So, you see it as a challenge, but the thing is that if you want that challenge to stop, you need to push. You need to push. You need to come back with that idea with a better way of communicating it and not just sit back. So we cannot just say, okay, these are the challenges that Gen Z have in the workplace or the things that they really like but they're not getting. We need to balance it with, okay, in the real world, this is what happens. Because like you said, most of them have grown up with technology and believe that technology is, there's a fake world online. No, technology, life is not online, right? Mm-hmm. There's a real world. There's real work to be done. There's real thinking to be done. If I say I'm not understanding your idea, it means that you've not communicated properly, and you need to communicate properly. Sometimes for a business person, if you're giving me an idea, I need to see the Naira and Kobo and what I will gain. What profit I will make. So if, no matter the story you're telling me, if that idea is not showing me the profit, it will not make sense to me.
Okay,
let's see it from another angle. Still on social construction and seeking. Sorry, still on diversity and pushing for inclusivity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, when in an organization where they demand for ideas, new ideas or solutions to a problems, and then they bring people together, the employees together, and these employees consist of the Gen Zs and the older generations. Most times in this situation, they don't even give room for the Gen Zs to express themselves because they believe that they are the youngest and they don't have anything to offer. Yeah. So that is another angle I'm coming from. So it's not like we're feeling entitled. They don't even give us a chance to even speak at all.
Yeah, I get that. So you see, while your generation will chill, that's the difference. The millennial will look for a way to make their voice heard. We will not just chill.
You don't have strength for all of that.
That is the thing.
By the time you don't give us
that is it. That is it. So that's the difference. In the real world, if you don't push, you're not going to get it.
Exactly.
So you're going to chill and wait for another opportunity and keep chilling. Like before you know it, you have joined, another generation will come and be calling you one name. In fact, may they not call this next generation, may not call it the lazy generation. Oh. That's what Buhari was trying to say. Lazy. But he did not put it, the context wasn't, he didn't mean to call everybody lazy, in my opinion. But maybe the ones in his house, he has seen that these ones, I pity una. If una know how to take walk, when I just say the press phone, just generalizing as so all Nigerian youths, they live. So that's it. You need to be ready to put in the work to actualize that your idea. Because idea on its own is nothing. Everybody can have it. But what is the strategy? How are we going to achieve this? How are we going to achieve this? Number one. Number two, I think Gen Zs are quite lazy when it comes to strategy. That's thinking. Strategy. Do you know what strategy is? So strategy.
Loudly.
See,
don't be saying
the thing is, sometimes, if I notice, let me use myself. If I'm in a meeting of older people and I notice that these people, they will not give me an opportunity to talk, or I too respect them, so I don't want to insult anybody, make I just shut up, right? What I would do is to either write it and send it to one of the elders there, or one of the leaders to read my idea. I've done it many times. Go and ask them. Anyway, I was youth leader in the church or whatever. If I couldn't talk in the general meeting in church, I will write a note and send it to the head pastor. He will read my notes. He cannot say I did not share my idea. Do you understand? If it's when I was in first bank, if it's an idea and I don't have the courage to speak it out, I go to my direct supervisor and say, this is what I was thinking. No. She'll be like, why didn't you say it in the meeting? I just didn't know how to say it because everybody was there you understand? Adult. But I find a way to communicate that idea. I don't just keep quiet. But you guys, they didn't give us time to speak now. All these old people, blah, 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 now for keyboard.
They don't give us time to speak doesn't mean we are not good at strategizing. Most times we have a lot of ideas on how to make work life better. But because we feel they won't give us the opportunity to speak, we just keep our ideas.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody has that feeling that they will not. Every generation has it for the older generation.
Yes.
But you need to find a way. That's the strategy I'm talking about. So your strategy can be writing it. Your strategy, okay, maybe your strategy is posting it online, ranting.
No,
yeah. Maybe that's the strategy to. No. Maybe actually it can actually be the strategy to say, but that one is for the whole world.
Yeah.
It's no more for your company
Exactly.
again.
So it doesn't make sense like
at that point, they will see you as dragging them.
I don't rant, no. I'd rather just keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Or most times, let me just use myself as an instance. Most times whenever I'm working here and, my boss, my supervisors, insist I do something in a particular way, and deep down I know this thing won't turn out well. But if I talk, they will say, "Lucky, listen to me and do what I do." I just keep short. I just bury my idea within myself and just do the way that I'm asked to do. And if it doesn't turn out well, I'll be like, my mind.
How many things have we asked you to do
that did not turn out well?
It's
either but I give an example. It's either you did not do it the way it was said, or you did what you wanted in your head.
So, last question before we go: how can organizations bridge the generational gap? How can individuals bridge this generational gap? How do you think we can do that, Dr. Fego? Or you think there will always be generational gap?
No, the generational gap is there. We can't do anything about it. It's about understanding each generation and how they think and how they believe they want to do their things. Okay? So I watch, I attend trainings, I read. So like what I shared, earlier in the show, I shared a research or what somebody said about the different generations and why they are working. Do you understand? So first thing we need to do is to understand each other, right? So we need to have that place where we all come together and say, okay, fine, this is it. I say, you don't just throw an idea. We need to have a strategy on how it benefits the organization. Do you understand? So the Gen Z person doesn't just throw his idea or keep it to himself or herself. They need to now find that will in themselves, that energy to do the work of transforming their idea from just an idea to what a strategy is and all that. So everybody needs to come and meet in the middle. Nobody's going to meet anybody. Do you get? So I look forward to when it is now the Gen Zs that are in charge of companies, in charge of everything, right? And we'll see how things go. If we don't, the people who will excel in Gen Z world are those who have found a way to blend and understand both. We're not saying change yourself or be different. Just look for a way to have that blend. To say, okay, in the real world, this is what happens. So, but if I'm in charge, I'll do this better. Wait till the time when you're in charge and do things better, right? Don't fight with the older generation.
Okay. I'm
not fighting with the older generation. Okay, so one way to bridge, the generational gaps, Gen Z and every other generation, I think one of the major ways is to foster an inclusive culture environment. That is, in the workplaces, you should encourage inclusiveness. That's irrespective of different generational age. You should always respect and value whatever age difference our employees in a particular organization. Don't say, "Oh, this is Gen Z. Whatever it says, I don't respect it." They should be respected, irrespective of whatever generation, whether it's the older generation, or the younger generation. Give them their value and their respect. That is one way to bridge the gap. Another way, I think, is promoting intergenerational collaborations. Whenever you have projects, don't just put one particular generation on that project. Bring people from the older generation and bring people from the younger generation. Just give them the time to, create a good relationship, give themselves respect and values. Okay.
So when you talk about it, he mentioned respect like 1 million times when he was talking. Something that these guys believe is that respect, you just give respect, but respect is earned.
Exactly.
Okay? So respect is earned. And Gen Z need to understand that because it's as if because I did this and I did 100% and everybody's hailing me, man, respect me. But the real world, you have to be consistent in doing 100% over a long period of time. And then you've earned your seat at the table. That's how the real world works.
Yeah, so talking about respect, this generation actually has the worst respect culture ever. They don't respect people.
Wait until you meet the next generation after us.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that, worse than that. But we're talking about Gen Z. They're not respectful.
No, but if you
at all.
stay with respect is earned, I don't think you have any challenge.
Yeah.
For instance, if I find any generation, whether the person is 100 years older than me, or 10 years or 20 years younger than me, and I find out that they can do something so well that I need to learn from them, I will respect them and learn. I'm ready to, do you understand, come down from that my high horse and learn. So respect is not about age, which I think the Gen Z, I don't know, it's not about age. Forget about, it's not, there's the general one, respect, but we're talking about workplace now. It's not about age. Do you understand? You can be 50 years old and I'm your supervisor and I'm 40. You have to respect me as your supervisor. It's different. So when you are mentioning respect, you need to be consistent in that thing that you want people to respect you for. And then be consistently good, right? Or excellent in it. And then we'll respect you for it. We don't just throw respect anywhere. So the same thing, if a Gen Z sees somebody that is doing something very good, the person will earn their respect. You don't just because you are what they call it, millennial. You are Gen Z, just respect me like that. Why? Why are you respecting me? There has to be a reason. Is that it's because I'm the one paying your salary? I'm your boss. I have to bring that, right? Or I can do something so well that, man, you want to be able to do that thing like that. So respect has to be earned. I don't think people just decide to disrespect. If the person doesn't see a value in a particular person that they want to bow to or respect to, they won't. So you need to earn it. Anybody, any generation.
Word. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this segment or this episode of the show as much as I have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and then click on the notification button so that you can get notified every time I post a new video. Until I come your way again next week. Bye for now.